What's going on, everybody? It's been a while since I put up any content on the Torino. Finally got myself motivated, got the engine all together. I was having issues lining up the intake manifold bolts. They were not going on. I could only get the straight ones in, the ones that just went straight down. So you have obviously one on each end and then two on the insides here like that. And I couldn't get the inner 8 bolts that go on an angle to line up. So a friend of mine was like, have you tried to tighten the intake down first and see if the bolts line up? And I saw that they did line up, but the gasket wasn't lining up. So what I did was I just cut a little bit of the gasket out a little bit more oval shape so that I can move the bolt in around and in it, and I was able to line them all up. They're all torqued down. As you can see, I got the engine balance for the hoist ready on the engine. My son Isaiah came over earlier, helped me take the hood off the Torino. So the hood's off. The engine hoist is here. This car had the engine, exhaust manifolds on it. So I'm gonna cut the old exhaust out. I'm gonna cut it down by the maybe center of the transmission hump there, so I can hook up this old exhaust to the long tube headers that will be on this car once installed, so that this thing is not ridiculously loud in my all aluminum carport back here and I don't wake up the whole neighborhood. So before I get the engine in, I have a few things I need to fix. So minor things. I got the right motor mounts in. What I want to do is just make sure that the motor mounts, you can see I got one bolt through the bottom of it through there. I'm going to do the same thing on this one, make sure I got the bolt line up there, so I'll be able to line the motor up. If that lines up nice, I'm going to take those bolts out, and then when you see those 3 bolts on each side, the 1, 2, 3 right there like that, 1, 2, 3, those just bolt up to the block. So I'll take these brand new motor mounts off, bolt it up to the block, and that way when I drop the engine it should sit right on that cross member frame right here and line up the bolts. So I'm gonna make sure those line up right now with the big long bolts, and there's no need for more drilling. And I also have brand new power steering lines, so while the engine's out of the car, I'm going to take these power steering lines, one right here, the other one's right there. I'm going to pull those out. I'm going to pull this container out here so it's out of the way. I'm going to make sure my fuel line's clear. I already pulled the radiator and shroud out off camera. So yeah, let's get started. So what I'm doing right now is I already cracked the high pressure line, which is the lower one, and then the return hose is this upper one right here. So the upper one was a 5/8 and the bottom one is a 1/2 inch, and I'm glad I replaced them because they were tucked away when I bought the car, but they were obviously cut off the power steering pump instead of removed properly. So I got the brand new low pressure line right here and the high pressure line sitting right up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep working on that and replace those. Alright, new power steering lines are in, bolted up, kind of just got them tucked out of the way. Next thing to attack is the exhaust. So I actually pulled the header out and lined it up in here. The first tube of the header kind of lines up like right here and then just curves back right away. So it goes back to probably way back here. I'm going to cut it way back there and just move the exhaust pipes out of the way after I cut them back. And from there we'll work on these motor mounts, making sure that these bolts go all the way through, like that one. That one does perfectly. Just got to line up this one now. Alright, got the exhaust cut out and out of the way. Got the motor mounts pulled out of the cross member here. Got the engine hoist all set up. I'm getting ready to lift up the engine and take it off the engine hoist. Alright, we dropped the engine in. Well, I dropped the engine in all by myself. That was a little bit of a pain in the ass, but I got it in. I can't really tell if it's lined up with the motor mount bolt holes. I'm outside in my carport getting attacked by mosquitoes. The engine is in for the first time. Big block 429. She's in. I'm really hoping, well, I think we got good for clearance on the carburetor. That is a Ram Air hood, Cobra Jet hood. Hopefully we'll be all right. Hopefully I don't have to change the intake to go with a lower profile intake. Headers look like there's going to be a lot of clearance. Looks like it's going to be a good amount of clearance for the headers. try those out tomorrow once I get the motor mount bolts in. Once I get these bolts in, we'll see where she sits and go from there. Just happy that the engine's sitting in there. Right now I have the engine in there without the transmission. I was debating on putting the transmission in because I was by myself. It was a pain in the butt to get this engine in. I wanted to get it in and make sure the motor mount bolts line up. And right now it's dark and I'm getting attacked by mosquitoes, like I said. So I'm just going to let it sit in here for the night. And tomorrow I'm going to come back out, get underneath it, and see where the motor mount bolts line up on the cross member, on the chassis part of the engine there. And for where it lines up though on the engine, there's a lot of room behind it for the bell housing of the transmission. Looks real good. It does look like she's sitting up kind of high. Kind of worries me a little bit, but we'll take it one step at a time. Hopefully these are the motor mounts. This is why I wanted to put the engine in here without the transmission in the first place, was just to make sure that these motor mounts are correct, because right now this thing is sitting up pretty high. We'll take a look at it tomorrow. Thanks for watching.